Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. No matter what time zone you are tuning in from right now, grab your coffee, your tea, whatever gets you going.
Yeah, whatever you need to wake up and get moving.
Exactly. Welcome back to Sip and Talk, and I am so incredibly thrilled to be here with you all today to welcome all of our amazing Sip and Talkers.
I'm Sunny. It is really great to be here with all of you today. We've got a genuinely massive discussion lined up.
We really do. You know, usually when we sit down at these mics, we're chatting about, like, the latest Silicon Valley tech drop or some quirky cultural trend happening on social media.
Right, something a little more lighthearted.
Yeah, exactly. But today, we are zooming out, like way out. We are stepping into a topic that is intense, heavily layered, and honestly plays out like a geopolitical thriller.
Oh, absolutely. It really does.
We're looking at the massive global reach of China's United Front engineering. And we're not framing this as some dry, dusty evening news bulletin, right?
No, definitely not. What we are analyzing today is, objectively speaking, the largest behavioral control engineering project in human history.
Which just sounds like science fiction, but it's real.
It is entirely real. We are talking about a machine that has evolved from, old school physical surveillance into this highly sophisticated global network of cognitive infiltration.
Yeah, a system that no longer just tracks where you go, but actively attempts to map and steer how you think.
Right. It's about shaping reality itself.
But before we get into the weeds of how this actually works, I want to make our mission statement for Sip and Talk crystal clear today. Our goal here is always to provide an international, completely objective perspective.
100%.
We want to help you understand how this invisible global operation impacts you, whether you are sitting in traffic in Los Angeles, jogging in London, or, grabbing lunch in Taipei.
Right, because it touches all of us.
And we are absolutely not here to criticize or discriminate against any country, any group, or any people. That's not what we do.
No, that is a crucial distinction. This is entirely about exploring the factual realities of a highly complex bureaucratic and technological system.
So laying out the facts.
Exactly. It is about understanding the mechanics of global power in 2026 so that we can all practice a bit more independent thinking in an era of massive information overload.
I love that. So to truly understand a global, invisible empire, you can't just look at the spreadsheets or the data. You have to look at the people actually running it.
Right, the human element behind the machine.
Yeah, or in this case, someone who recently decided to just walk away from it entirely. Late in 2024, a man named Ma Rulin defected to the United States.
Which is incredibly rare.
Right. And he wasn't like a spy in a trench coat. He was a mid to high level official. Specifically, he was the Deputy Secretary of the Party Committee of the United Front Work Department in Gansu Province.
And let's just refer to them as the UFWD moving forward to keep things simple.
Good call, the UFWD. So the human element of his defection is just staggering. When someone reaches that echelon of the bureaucracy, stepping out isn't just handing in a 2-week notice.
No, you don't just clear out your desk and go home.
Right. He had to leave his mother and his 2 sisters behind. And during his CNN interviews, you could feel the emotional toll. It was palpable.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
He explicitly stated that he hopes to only meet them again in, quote, heaven. That is the permanent, irreversible price he paid to leave.
It's heartbreaking. And his motivation wasn't, a lucrative book deal or a better job offer. It was this crushing, overwhelming sense of guilt.
Yeah, the guilt of being part of that machine.
Exactly. He described living inside that bureaucratic system as being trapped in an evil cage, waking up every single day knowing he was a cog in a machine actively working against its own people.
Wow. And that brings us to what the UFWD actually does on a day-to-day basis. I was thinking about this, and the best way I can wrap my head around it is to view them as the world's largest, most well-funded, completely underground PR firm.
Oh, that is a brilliant framework, actually.
Because if they're a PR firm, their core operational strategy, their North Star, is making as many friends as possible and isolating as few enemies as possible.
But we have to be clear, making friends in this context is a highly mechanized process of co-opting, monitoring, and neutralizing potential threats.
Right. It's not about going out for drinks. So if an entire government department's job, backed by a virtually unlimited budget, is to run this global PR campaign, who exactly are they targeting?
That's the big question.
And Ma Rulin actually laid out their 8 main target groups. It is a highly systematic approach. They target non-party intellectuals, so thinkers and academics outside the official structure.
Makes sense. You want to control the smart people.
Yeah, and they target ethnic minorities, like the We people, which Ma himself belongs to. They place immense focus on Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. They manage religious groups, private enterprises, overseas diaspora, hometown associations.
And crucially for our daily lives, they target key opinion leaders or influencers.
Wait, really? Influencers are a direct target group.
Oh, absolutely. And the mechanics of how they handle all those target groups at the grassroots level are severe. The so-called influence of this underground PR firm often translates into direct suppression.
Right, breaking the chain of cultural transmission.
Exactly. For instance, in managing religious groups, the strategy isn't just, monitoring sermons. It involves the systematic physical destruction of mosques, the removal of crosses from churches, and strict bans that prevent minors from entering religious sites whatsoever.
They want to ensure the ideology doesn't pass to the next generation. That is intense.
And they enforce this by embedding informants directly into these communities. We aren't just talking about police officers on patrol here.
What are we talking about then?
We are talking about neighbors who are incentivized with cash bonuses to report on their own neighbors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it creates this terrifying environment of identity discrimination. Minorities are effectively treated as second-class citizens, and party members face detention simply for holding private religious beliefs.
But wait, if a system relies on embedding human informants into literally every community group and paying out cash bonuses to millions of neighborhood watchers, you run into an immediate logistical problem, correct?
A massive financial problem, yeah. Human informants are incredibly expensive.
Which naturally brings us to the shocking economics of what they call stability maintenance. Let's talk about the money, because the numbers provide a perfect mathematical mirror for their actual political priorities.
The price tag of paranoia.
Exactly. Every year, there is massive international discussion about China's official military budget. In 2026, it is sitting around this massive 1.78 to 1.91 trillion RMB mark.
A huge number.
Right, but here is the data point that changes everything. The internal security budget, the money spent on stability maintenance, regularly surpasses that military budget.
It really is the ultimate price tag of paranoia. They spend more money policing their own interior than they do preparing for external and military threats.
What does it say about a power structure when its biggest perceived threat is you, the everyday citizen grabbing a coffee or texting a friend?
It points to a deep foundational fragility.
It really does. But here is where the mechanics of that spending has shifted dramatically. Recently, because of local economic downturns and massive municipal debt, there have been widespread reports of local governments just running out of money.
Yeah, they're literally failing to pay their grassroots human security personnel.
And you would think a lack of funds would lead to a relaxation of surveillance, right?
I think so, yeah.
But instead of backing off, the state doubled down on extreme technology. They realized human guards are too expensive and occasionally too sympathetic, so they aggressively replaced human eyes with artificial intelligence.
Right. They are funneling massive resources into what is known as the city brain AI warning systems and these massive digital fences.
So if I am understanding the mechanics of this correctly, it is not just installing more security cameras on street corners.
Right.
It's predictive.
Predictive.
Right. Like if I buy a piece of poster board, purchase a thick permanent marker, and then use a messaging app to complain to a friend about local corruption, the AI connects those three completely separate data points.
Exact.
And it flags me as a protest risk before I even leave my apartment.
You have hit on the exact core of preventative suppression. It is a physical and digital web layered seamlessly over everyday life.
That is terrifying.
Traditionally, a city is divided into tiny geographic grids, with a designated human grid worker monitoring everything. But the city brain integrates that human intelligence with everyday digital transactions, facial recognition, and mobility patterns.
So the system is designed to squash dissent before a single person even thinks about stepping into the street.
They are putting out fires before the match is even struck.
Unbelievable. But, this level of control doesn't conveniently stop at physical borders. It leaks directly into the smartphones of people sitting in cafes in Sydney, New York, or Paris.
Right, and this brings us to the cognitive factory.
Yeah, let's talk about that. If we return to the underground PR firm analogy, this cognitive factory has two main divisions. First, you have the little panks.
The grassroots, highly nationalistic youth.
Right, and they exist in a heavily filtered information cocoon. In PR terms, they are essentially astroturfing bot farms. They swarm comment sections, attack critics, and create the massive illusion of unanimous public agreement.
And on the other end of the spectrum, the second division consists of the wolf warriors.
The diplomats, right?
Yeah. If the little pinks are the bot farms, the wolf warriors are the aggressive crisis PR and legal team. They are the official diplomats who challenge global norms and use highly confrontational language to project this image of an unstoppable power.
So together, from the bottom up and the top down, they manufacture fake public consensus on a global scale.
But the most effective tool in their modern arsenal is actually much more subtle than a screaming diplomat. You mentioned KOLs earlier, the influencers.
Oh man, this is what really gets me because it bypasses your critical thinking entirely.
It really does.
It is not a guy in a suit reading a political manifesto. It is a 20-something lifestyle vlogger showing you a makeup routine or a food tour or like reviewing a new gadget.
Just everyday relatable content.
Exactly. And woven seamlessly into that innocent content are subtle political narratives. It is product placement, but instead of selling you a soda, they are selling you an ideology. It's weaponized soft brainwashing.
And that subtle infiltration is heavily amplified by overseas hometown associations.
Right, the diaspora groups.
Yeah. On paper, these groups ostensibly exist just to help immigrants adapt, assist with visas, and celebrate their shared culture. But mechanically, they often act as surveillance nodes.
Wow, real?
Yeah, they gather data on expats and map out their social ties back home, which provides the precise leverage needed to silence any overseas criticism.
Because they know exactly who your family is back in China.
Exactly. And the apps on our phones do the rest of the heavy lifting. Applications like WeChat, Xiaohongshu, and TikTok act as both information filters and data vacuums.
Right, so if an expat relies entirely on WeChat for their news and community connection, they are living inside the party's engineered reality, effectively isolated from the actual country they reside in.
Which creates immense friction on the global stage. We are seeing intense geopolitical pushback right now. The Trump administration is on extremely high alert regarding this overseas infiltration and is actively attempting to map out these UFWD networks.
And the pushback isn't just defensive anymore. It has become highly offensive. Did you see the mechanics behind that recent CIA recruitment video?
Oh, that was a massive move.
The CIA literally dropped a recruitment video online, directly appealing to officials inside the Chinese system who might be feeling exactly the same guilt that Ma Ruolin did.
They targeted that specific feeling of being trapped in an evil cage.
Exactly. And that video skyrocketed to over 100 million views.
That applies massive, unprecedented pressure on the regime. When an external intelligence agency successfully communicates directly with your mid-level bureaucrats, it sows deep internal doubt and paranoia.
And all of this geopolitical tension bleeds directly into international financial markets, too. Look at the policy risk associated with major Chinese stocks companies, with tickers like BABA for Alibaba, TCEHY for Tencent, or PDD for Pinduoduo.
And just to be clear to everyone listening, we are dissecting geopolitics here, not giving you stock tips.
Yes, please do not go rearranging your retirement fund based on Sip&Talk.
Certainly not.
But looking at these equities gives us a perfect mathematical mirror for these political moves. These are massive, incredibly innovative companies, yet their valuations are often just crushed.
Because in this specific ecosystem, political loyalty will always trump market logic.
Always.
If a tech billionaire gets too popular, they become an alternative power center. The state will happily erase billions of dollars in shareholder value to remind an executive who is actually in charge.
We see this geopolitical friction directly affecting ad revenues and global operations for companies like ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. The regulatory heat they face is a direct response to the cognitive factory we just described. Okay, so we have absorbed Ma Ruolin's confessions. We have broken down the trillion RMB AI fences, the weaponized influencers, and the crushed stock valuation.
It is a lot to take in.
It really is. But true to the core values of Sip&Talk, we cannot just swallow a narrative whole. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute here.
Please do. We definitely need to stress test these ideas.
So we are in an era of intense geopolitical pressure. Could these high-profile defection stories and these massive sweeping features in Western media be their own subtle form of cognitive warfare?
That is a very fair question.
If we blindly accept the narrative that this entire authoritarian system is incredibly fragile, bankrupt, and on the brink of collapse, are we dangerously underestimating its actual resilience?
That is exactly the kind of critical thinking we need to apply. It is entirely possible to misread a system's stability because we are looking at it through a democratic Western cultural lens.
Right. We expect things to work the way they do here.
Exactly. Authoritarian systems often look incredibly brittle right up until they don't. They possess a terrifying capacity for crisis management precisely because they do not have to wait for public consensus.
That makes total sense. Like, in a democracy, we argue for 6 months over a municipal budget. If the city brain AI says lock down the grid is locked down in 10 minutes. No debate.
Exactly. The mobilization speed is completely unmatched. So while testimonies from defectors are vital, we must evaluate every single piece of information we consume, regardless of where it comes from.
Yeah, media literacy is everything.
The mechanics of media literacy require asking, who is giving this to me? What is their underlying agenda? And most importantly, what specific emotion are they trying to provoke in me?
If a video or an article is desperately trying to make you angry, fearful, or overly confident, someone is trying to bypass your logic and push an emotional button.
Exactly.
In an era where billions of dollars are spent globally to shape your perception of reality, maintaining an independent, questioning mind isn't just an academic exercise. It is the ultimate freedom.
It requires constant, exhausting vigilance to step outside of our information cocoons, whether they were built by a foreign government, a domestic tech algorithm, or just our own comfortable biases.
Speaking of tech algorithms, it brings me to a final thought I want to leave everyone with today. A concept that builds on everything we just discussed, but brings it right into our own backyards.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We spent all this time analyzing the trillions spent by an authoritarian regime to build an all-encompassing digital fence, a system that integrates your money, your messages, your location, and your social life into one centralized hub to monitor behavior.
A fully integrated digital panopticon.
Right. But it leaves you wondering, as Western tech giants aggressively push for everything, apps platforms that want to handle our banking, our private messaging, our ride-sharing, and our social media, all in one closed ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
Are we voluntarily building the exact same infrastructure that authoritarian regimes spend trillions trying to enforce? Are we unknowingly carrying the architecture of our own cages right in our pockets simply because it offers free shipping and convenience?
That is a deeply unsettling parallel to chew on. Convenience is often the easiest way to bypass caution. We really have to keep our eyes open.
We covered a massive amount of ground today, but we are navigating this complex world together. Thank you all so much for spending your time with us today.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
If you enjoyed this conversation and you want to keep sharpening those critical thinking skills, please enthusiastically hit that subscribe button for the Sip and Talk podcast. We've got so much more coming your way.
And before we go, we have to give a massive shout out to our good friend Mickey. If you need a break from the geopolitical heavy lifting, you have to check out his YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
Yes. Mickey has been working so hard lately. Has he been putting in overtime or what?
He really has.
He is constantly uploading this incredible mix of short and long travel vlogs. And what I truly appreciate about his work right now is that he is actively tackling visual fatigue and content decentralization.
His content is just so raw and unfiltered.
He really is.
In an era where every other video on our feeds feels like it was generated by an AI or violently pushed by an engagement algorithm, he is out there showing the real, unpolished world.
It is a much-needed dose of reality for our overstimulated brains. Seriously, go search for Mickey to Life on YouTube.
Highly recommend it.
Stay curious, everyone. Protect your peace, question your feeds, and we will catch you in the next episode of Sip and Talk. Goodbye.
See you next time, everybody.